What's up guys, welcome back to Design Picks. I'm Cam, and if you don't know, I run Handheld, which is a mobile design inspiration platform. Every single week I rank the 7 best designs that I come across to help you with your mobile design project. If you're coming from the newsletter, you already know the winners, but if not, subscribe down below and you can get this video plus 7 designs straight into your inbox every single week. As always, without further ado, let's get straight into it. First up, in 7th place, we have Safia Ahmed with a vibrant input bar. This design is super simple, as you can probably see. The thing that caught my eye was how vibrant this design actually is. Like sometimes when you're working with gradients, you can end up having the colors look a bit muddy. Here, Safia gets it completely right with all the colors. Every single color is very subtle, but you can see the vibrancy in between them, especially with the gradient bottom shadow that you have behind the input bar. First of all, the color of the actual input bar. It's not a solid white color. I'd probably say it's like a 65% opacity with an 8-pixel blur, just to get that color from the background coming through the input to make it a bit more immersive and a bit more interesting to look at. And speaking of the input bar, one of the things that I wanted to highlight was the inner shadow that Safia actually adds to it to add that depth and bring it away from the background. It's so amazing how this one little design detail can add so much depth to a design and take it away from the background and make it basically jump at you as a user. Flat design is great and it has its place, but sometimes we just want a little more just to add that extra punch to your mobile application and differentiate yourselves from other mobile apps that aren't doing these kind of details. So thank you Safia for that one. I really did enjoy it and I would love to see more from the wider mobile app of this one. Next up, in 6th place, we have Shihab with a movie details screen. I think there's a big lesson in information architecture from Shihab that we should really learn for our mobile applications, especially for screens that show loads of information. Firstly, there's not much color in this. It's only done in the most important places. If you look in the background near to the top of the screen, you can see that there's a little gradient color, and I'm 100% sure that color is originating from the actual movie poster. That's such a nice detail to add some immersiveness to it. I did want to highlight great use of liquid glass elements that Shihab actually implemented in this design. Instead of putting a star rating inside of the details and probably cramping up that information a little bit more, it decided to overlay them on top of the information because it's actually a element that incorporates all the information behind it. Adding it in this component is really a nice touch that I do enjoy. And one of the great things of this screen is the information architecture of it. I can see the description of the movie and I can read what it's about, and then after that, once I know what it's about, then I feel like I'm fully prepped to see the reviews or see how other critics have actually reviewed the movie, which makes the most sense because if you put those critics before the description, you would wonder why they would rate it in a certain way. So you have to get the context before you get the information. There's a lot of bits that Shihab actually incorporated, and yeah, it's a great app to study and a great screen to have a look at and see how you can apply it to your mobile design work. Thanks Shihab, I really enjoyed that, and please let us know when that app drops because I really do need a movie app. Up next, in 5th place, we have Jay with a social media app. There's a lot of design to look at here, but I'll just go through screen by screen of some of the best bits that I enjoyed that I feel like can help you the most. Instantly, you can probably tell that this is a very eye-catching application and a very visually striking app. It's a nice, worthy change from the different apps that we have now, like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Like they're all very plain and very simple kind of applications. It works because when you're dealing with UGC content, you want the content to be the star of the show, not the application. But in some cases, you can have both, and I feel like Jay has done that in a great way here. If we look on the profile screen on the right, the little gradient line around the profile picture is just a nice touch to show that it's on a streak. I don't know if that relates to any other details or any other context in the wide application, but if it does, even better, because you can get so much information just from a symbol, a color, and in context of where it actually is. I just love fun apps, and for a more friend-focused application like this one, you can be a bit larger in those elements, and that adds that to that playful nature. If I put my marketing hat on, an app with such a strong visual language like this one would translate so well in the marketing side. Branding is such a big thing in the design industry at the moment, and rightly so, because now we have AI creating applications and being software developers for us. If everyone has Claude Code working on the same features in the same applications, then the only way we can differentiate ourselves is how it looks. Being great at visuals and marketing will be a big advantage in this new age of where we are in the industry at the moment. If I was to take away anything from design, it would be have a great visual style. Like if you can, try add some elements that differentiate yourselves from other users. If you can do that, it'll make the experience a lot more easier to enjoy. So thank you Jay for sharing that, and welcome to Design Picks. In 4th place, we have Stat Studio with a skin routine advisor, and we all know that I love fun apps, and this one is the epitome of that. How do you make design fun? There's a few ways you can do this, and I think Stat Studio have done all of them. Firstly, color. If you add bright colors and colors that add that playful nature, bright, eye-catching, visually striking, you're one step closer to the goal already. Because it's a skin routine app, you want the app to feel clinical, but also Stat Studio added that element of it being fun to look at too, which is a hard task to do. The second thing to add more fun nature to your applications, crazy random rounded corners. I feel like these cards have like a 24 to 32 pixel rounded corner on it. It doesn't add that seriousness that a 0 to 8 pixel corner would have. Another element to add fun to your designs is the corner radius. These cards are huge. I feel like it's a 24 to 32 pixel, maybe even more if I'm looking at it a bit closer, but instantly it changes the vibe of the design, and another way where you can easily make your app feel more playful to look at. Even though it's fun in nature, it still has some technical bits that are very well done. Like for example, in the first screen, you can see that there is a facial gradient kind of illustration that showcases some bright spots for if your complexion is mild or it's sensitive, and you have a slide underneath. That is very technical in data visualization, but because of the fun, playful nature of the colors, the softness of the corners, and just using like circle shapes, it makes it more approachable. And for a skin routine app like this, where a lot of user bases would use it, this is probably the best design language you could have chose for an app like this to appeal to the masses. In the routine card, you can see that it uses 6 different products. It takes around 4 minutes, and it's just been manually updated already. So the information is still there. It's still simple to see, but again, it's still a functional app, and it's a very hard task to do when you're trying to battle with form and function when you're designing, and that's 4th place. So after 4 great designs, we're now getting into the podium, and in 3rd place, we have Yaroslav with a movie profile screen. And you can probably tell why this is in the podium this week. I don't need to do much explaining. I will, because I need to show you some of the things that you can steal, but you can visually see that this design is amazing from Yaroslav and very deserved to be in 3rd place this week. So we know in mobile design that emblems, trophies, streaks are a big part of mobile design apps these days, and it's just a great way to get users back into your application and be real fans of your application because they get to earn, and that plays into the competitive nature that we are as humans. Emblems are very hard to get the right amount of visual intrigue. They need to be scalable as well to have as many as you want. It's a very hard task to do, and it's more science-based than it is creative in my opinion. The emblem is actually created from 3 different layers. So firstly, in the center, we have some 3D shapes of different colors and shapes and sizes. You can probably find like a pack like this on the community or something, but the way Yaroslav's taken that and put it into his own design language is amazing. That's the first step. And then the second step, we have a base layer where the actual emblem sits on, and this has a lot of depth. This has a lot of shadows on it, and it makes it look so 3D and off the page that it just hits you in the face whenever time you see it. And then behind that, we have a little nice base set that carries the color of the actual emblem, and that's what interacts with the background behind it. Even past the emblem, the way the screen is constructed past that, it's done to the highest execution. And the list down below with the actual movies that have your ratings, if you look closely, you can see the shadow is not just a basic black shadow. It's actually taking the image colors from the poster and using that as a shadow instead, because that's a lot more realistic, and that's how shadows interact with real life elements. Yaroslav is teaching us how to expertly craft screens, and this one is definitely going into my inspiration folder, which all other designs will be too. Thank you for sharing that. And if you do want your own mobile design work featured in design picks in a future week, subscribe to the newsletter down below, and there should be a link where you can submit your own design app profile. So in 2nd place this week, we have the concept king, Budvin, with a smart navigation Google Maps concept for us. So at first, I didn't realize it was Google Maps because it's so bright, it's so colorful, but when you look deeply, you can realize that it actually is. And yeah, that's a testament to Budvin's actual work in these concepts that he keeps posting. On the left-hand side, it's a normal constructed Google Maps app with the sheet and then the map above it, so you can see all the data that you need. And if you need to search, you can do that very quickly. But the one thing that Budvin's actually done to improve the screen is taken a nav bar and put it on top of the sheet, which is a very nice design pattern, and some of the elements that he's incorporated to show the active state of the navbar elements is so nice. I feel like this is taking inspiration from the material design expressions design system, if I remember that correctly. This adds that nice interest that Google normally doesn't have in their mobile design work. And if we look further into the mobile design on the right hand side, you can see there's so much more color in this design than the usual Google Maps that I just feel like it's nice and eye-catching. It just makes it interesting to look at, and if you're using this application day after day, you want things to stand out a little bit more. The actual bus names, the direction buttons, CTA to get to the directions, they're a lot brighter and more eye-catching for a user. One thing I would have a comment on is the gradient usage for the waypoint. So I assume this color is related to the actual route, but Budweiser actually made them as a gradient, but I feel like that's probably not the right approach here, because you want those different routes to be segmented. If I'm interpreting that in the wrong way, please let me know, because I am interested in why you made that as a gradient instead of like solid block colors to show the segments. Nonetheless, this is a great entry for 2nd place, and it just shows Budweiser is great at taking established design and pushing it forward into a place where it makes it better and more useful to users and more interesting to actually interact with. So in 1st place this week, for Design Picks 25, we have Studio Sphere with a health dashboard. We know Studio Sphere and their quality of work, and this is another great example of what they keep pushing out. A lot of fitness applications have card layouts, but it's very hard to show that much data in a simple way. They have different layouts for different information, and I really think that's what some fitness apps that we use on a day-to-day basis really lack on. I don't want to see my weight and my bench press stats in the same kind of format. They need to be different because they serve different purposes, and Studio Sphere actually understands that. So some other cool bits that I really do enjoy are the cortisol levels. The actual indicator of the slider is actually made in liquid glass, so the color of the actual slider comes through it, and I just feel that's a nice detail to add. You didn't really have to add it, but I just feel like it's nice, and it adds that depth, it adds that interest again, just going the extra mile in the design and doing things because they look cool. And then all that information is being housed underneath just a beautiful street card that draws the attention of where it needs to be, that knows what it needs to do, which is draw the attention to the user and give them that motivation that they need. But when you go into these fitness applications, only a couple things that you actually want to see is if you're doing well, how well you're doing, and if the data actually supports that decision. This screen actually does that. This is a great example of the showing hierarchy, color schemes, and showing how to show data to the masses for a fitness application. There's a lot of things that we can probably take from this design for our mobile design projects as well. So that's it for Design Picks 25. Thank you for being here as always. Congrats to Studio Sphere, Budvin, and Yaroslav, and all the other featured designers that made it to Design Picks this week. Let me know if you found some value in the design shown this week and what you're incorporating from these designs into your mobile design projects. I'll be here every week showcasing the best mobile designs that I come across to help you with your mobile design projects. So if you want to follow along, follow Handheld Design on X, where we post designs every single day so you can get that inspiration directly in your feed. Subscribe to the newsletter below and you'll find a link where you can submit your own work to actually get featured in a Design Picks in a future week. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel down below and post notifications on so you can get these videos straight when they drop, because firstly, I want to help you guys design better mobile apps, and secondly, I want to see better mobile apps out in the world today. So on that note, I'm Cam and I'll see you next week. Peace.